Hit it. All right, boys. Smaller crowd than usual tonight, but we're gonna get right into
Favorites.
it. Roast and Toast Baseball Radio, episode 10. We're in the double digits now, so that's awesome. Um, but like right off the bat, we're gonna get right into it. Some depressing news, and that is Mike Trout is hurt again. It's just awful what we're seeing so far in this back half of his career. Can't stay healthy, and it's a shame. Obviously we're hoping for the best with the rest of his career and hope he can stay on the field in the future. But what if he can't? What's his legacy going to look like?
I That's kind of exactly what I was going to go into. Like, is he still going to be a potential Hall of Famer or not? Like, you don't know anymore. Like, his WAR is crazy, but like as of right now, only 1,600 hits, 378 home runs, and career 299 batting average. That's really good. Like, not nothing to sniff at, but like I don't know how much longer he can play. Like, is he going to get the 500 home runs? Maybe he will probably get to 2,000 hits, maybe 2,500. But it's like, is that enough to get him in the Hall of Fame? But I mean, just him being hurt, like, it's fucking terrible. Like, on any other team, he would be a superstar. It just sucks that his talent is being wasted and not appreciated. Not that it's not appreciated, but just kind of getting washed away in Anaheim. Like, dude, like, imagine him on the Dodgers.
Hmm.
Like, that would be insane. And it just sucks because he keeps getting fucking hurt. And you can even see in the post one of his pressers that he did, like he was crying about how, and like, that's like the most emotion that he's ever shown ever. So like for him to like kind of show that emotion, like it like really hurts him, but it just sucks so bad.
Yeah, I mean, you could see during I guess it was kind of like a press conference, kind of impromptu thing yesterday afternoon. Yeah, he's definitely fighting back tears, and you got to feel for the guy. He's like how we were talking about McCutcheon a couple weeks ago, and how there's like there's a few players that are like unanimously appreciated, and I think it's hard to find someone who would have a bad thing to say about the guy. Even though Stephen A. Smith kind of was a real douche today, talking about how he literally said today on air that he thinks this is karma for staying with the Angels. Like, I know he's probably trying to get clicks, and
That's the only
um,
reason.
I was absolutely mind blown by him saying something like that. This is one of the greatest players in the history of the game, and you're gonna, berate him with something like that. It's ridiculous. Moving on from that, though, I mean, Tom, like for me, he's a first ballot guy. Like I think he has. I'm always like my rule of thumb is always looking for 5 to 6 Hall of Fame caliber seasons. And for me, like that, because I do that because I think it takes out like the compilers like situation where like some people look at like, oh, you need to have 3,000 hits, you need to have 400 plus home runs. You need to have, I don't know, whatever, how many RBIs. Like there's a certain parameter you need to have. Whereas if I'm a Hall of Fame voter, which obviously I'm not, I'm just looking for specific seasons because some players like Trout, they have consistently, gotten hurt and couldn't stay healthy throughout a whole 162 game season. And that's becoming more and more normal, I feel like, with players hitting the ball harder, hitting the ball farther, throwing the ball harder. I feel like, injuries are going to start piling up for a lot of guys. And Trout's only 32. And I think with
He's been in the
how,
league for 14 years.
yeah, yeah, he's been exactly. This is a player who I feel like has his rookie season was 2011, and like for guys like our age, that was when I feel like we really started to like reach our prime of watching baseball, and he came up
Mhm.
right during that time, especially for me. Like I was like what, like 12, like 11 or 12 when he came in the league, and like watching this guy's career kind of unfold and him being literally one of the best players I've ever seen and anyone's ever seen. It's incredible. But I think he probably gets to 500 home runs. I think he keeps that average around 290 plus. And that he's already at 86 WAR, which puts him past a lot of Hall of Famers already. And I mean, the 1,600 hits, he'll probably get to 2,000. He has 6 to 7 plus Hall of Fame caliber seasons, with 11 of those of his seasons having an OPS plus greater than 150, which is
That's
absolutely
nuts.
ridiculous.
But
So for me, like personally, I think it's first ballot, but I hope he stays healthy longer, but we'll see.
how are we going to remember him though? What are we going to remember
Oh
him
man,
for?
that's a tough question.
Because
Dude, rookie of the year.
here's what I
Go
think.
ahead.
Here's what I think. If he is continuing going to continue being injury prone, which unfortunately, he hasn't shown the ability to stay healthy in the past like 3 seasons. Um, I don't see how the Angels move him with that contract unless they're willing to eat a lot of it, which I don't think they're willing to do. So if he's going to be in the back half of his career on a crappy Angels team, I don't know, maybe they are good somehow and he gets to go in the playoff. I don't see that happening with Artie Moreno as the owner, but let's say that they're still coasting like this in this purgatory of just being mid for like the
Yeah.
past since
Terrible owners
2023.
do not deserve talent like this, like Artie
Right.
Moreno. Like the ownership group out there, it's they've had two like once in a lifetime level talents, and Otani, who's probably might be one of the most talented players you've ever seen. And then you have Trout, who the same level, like at the same exact time, and they didn't even make the playoffs once. I'm correct? I'm pretty sure I'm correct in saying that. Trout's
They
made the playoffs
didn't.
one time, and then I believe they got swept by the Royals in 14. But like one time in his career, how is that possible? How can you
He's
not
the
build around this guy? He is one of the greatest players of all time, and you can't go to the playoffs more than once. It is mind-boggling to me that this isn't that's true. Mind-boggling.
So exactly what my point. What are we going to remember Trout for when it's all
Yeah.
said and done?
I I think I'm personally I'll always remember him as like one of the greatest players. Like I've said it a bunch of times, but like it's just you can't help anyone who's injury prone. Like that just happens. I mean, he's still always going to be viewed as a great player. But it's just going to be a letdown because of how many times his body has betrayed him and not allowed him to. Like, could you imagine the numbers he's put up if he played like if he only got hurt one, maybe even one time with a major injury rather than 4 or 5 times? Because like even if you don't count the major injuries, he still had seasons where he's gotten little nicks and things along the line where you have to stop playing for a couple weeks or go on a 10-day IL stint. And
mm,
you guys know, like you play college baseball, it's so hard to stop playing in your like at the prime of a season and have to take a week or two off and come back. Like hitting a baseball is one of the hardest things to do in sports, let alone coming back cold off the bench.
Yeah.
I couldn't only imagine what his stats would be like.
Is it? Yeah, it's
and
kind
his
of Ken
stats are
Griffey
already
Jr.
crazy.
Yeah.
Right, his
But
stats are already crazy.
I feel like his stats could even be even more crazy if he could have stayed healthy like consistently. That
Oh
that's just
yeah.
that's just me, but I
It's
can only
similar to
imagine.
Ken Griffey Jr. and what happened in the back end of Griffey
Yeah,
Jr.'s career, which obviously we were robbed of that too, which was
yeah.
terrible.
It
Who knows
sucks.
what those numbers would have looked like? And Griffey still got to 600 home runs, being
Yeah,
like a shell of himself. So,
yeah,
Yeah. No steroid.
so I'll start over. So we
yeah,
had an
yeah.
electric call from the White Sox booth the other day. Um, There's not much to say about it except I don't know how you get up that high for a team that's that doing that poorly, but I gotta tip my cap.
Wait, dude, this guy literally has Benintendi's rounding second base. He literally says, for the first time all season, Sox win 2 in a row.
Yeah, he did, dude. Hey, I mean,
It's hilarious.
it's. I feel like that's like one, and also like the crowd for at Guaranteed Rate Field in Southside Chicago that night was almost sold out.
That's
Like
crazy.
there was some kind of promotion or the fan group got together, and I basically was like, "This is the game that we're going to come to everyone's going to come to the ballpark," and I mean, it was electric. Like you can't ask for a better ending than that. Um, and John Striffen is his name. He's pretty new to the game of broadcasting, especially in the Major League Baseball. I believe he got his start in 2020 during those late night chaser KBO games, actually.
No
Uh,
way.
yeah,
Oh
he did.
man,
That
that's
was like
crazy.
his first feel, I think, for like ESPN and Major League Baseball's play-by-play. And now like he's got a future, man. Like that was a great call. And if he can get up for a game for a what like 6-23 team in April. I don't. I can only imagine what he would do if that team ever made the playoffs. He'd probably blow a gasket. Like that was insane. I
Dude.
think at one point he said he was rounding third base. He said, "Say it with me, say it proud. Southside stand up," which is poetry in motion. Just a great job by John Striffen. Shout
Electric
out to him.
stuff.
NBC Sports Chicago. Shout out. That's awesome.
Not
Yeah,
copyrighted.
Not copyrighted.
yeah, loved it. Um, so that was a little quick hitter, but the next topic is not so fun, and it's about Corbin Carroll. And his stats this year look pretty horrendous. I don't really know what's going on there, but I'm wondering if you guys have any ideas what is wrong with Corbin Carroll right now.
I mean, just based off last year, like obviously something's happening. Like he's batting seventh, eighth in the lineup. Like the rookie of the year is batting in the bottom of the order. Like what's happening? Like, and the only thing that comes to mind is like, is it a mental issue? Like, is something going on? Like, I was reading something that his exit velocity is down. Exit average velocity is down like 7, 8 miles an hour. So like, I don't know if it's something mental or maybe he's hurt or something. I don't know, and he's trying to play through something, but something's obviously wrong, and it either needs to get fixed or he's going to get sent down or take some time off. Like I won't be surprised if he takes like a month off for like some random injury so he can just figure something out.
Yeah, I mean, I saw there's some theories floating around on Twitter when I found out like this is one of the topics. I tried to do a little bit of surfing, and I saw a video somebody on Twitter posted of him on July the 6th of last year. He had a swing where he kind of pulled off the ball, and I believe it was a foul ball, but he kind of came up grabbing I think it was his right shoulder. And ever since then, he's had 425 plate appearances. He's only hit 8 home runs, 38 stolen bases. He's hit 259 with 345 on base and a 395 slug. So I mean, with a weighted runs created plus of 105. So not terrific. Not what you expect from how he played. I mean, he was great in the playoffs, I feel like, against the Phillies.
Dude,
So like that's part of me where it's like that he was great in the playoffs after the injury. So part of me maybe thinks like maybe he re-aggravated it, or it could
Hmm.
also just be another thing, like it's early in the season. He could just be having like early season woes, and it's also going to be just pitching coaches and pitchers and catchers are just maybe finding them holes in the zone and can get them out easily. As players get
a good
more
point.
of a sample size, these pitchers and these pitching coaches and staffs, they do such a good job of how knowing where to attack and when. And this is what's going to happen. I feel like a lot of young players, they come in the league, you don't have a lot of information about them, similar to Vladdy Jr., where he comes to the league, he lights it up a couple of seasons, and all of a sudden, nosedive. I feel like there's these pitchers are too good, and you got to be able to adjust year after year and continue to improve. You can't just rest on your laurels. I'm not saying that's what he's doing. It's just another theory, but there's a couple different theories out there that could be true.
I
To me,
think that's a great theory, though. Sorry, Will.
no, to me that's interesting. That you pointed out the injury that was so long ago, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, in the playoffs he did really well. So I don't know if I can fully buy into that unless he did re-aggravate it. Um,
Cortisone shot.
Yeah.
right? Who knows what they were doing? I mean, I know it's hard to hit with shoulder thing, so um,
Yeah.
kind of feel like you have a dead arm. And is it his front shoulder?
I believe it's the right. I don't quote me on that, but I believe it's
His
the right. So that would be his front.
front shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see how that would lead to less power, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
any of them, but especially the front
Yeah.
arm there.
But it does it just makes you upset because he's another guy, like he has so much talent. He's a
Yeah,
five-tool guy. He's a great fielder.
Yeah,
He
dude.
throws a bunch of bags, and he runs the bases really aggressively. Gets on base, and he hit for power for a while last season. So it's disappointing to see him, not live up to the hype right now. But obviously, again, like it's early in the season, he can easily turn things around. I hope he does because he's another guy like you. People come out of the ballpark to see that guy play. People
absolutely they
spend
do.
money, take time out of their day to specifically watch that guy play, and it's difficult to see him struggle early.
Sophomore slump.
Always
Could
anything's
be.
To
possible,
your point.
honestly. Yeah, could be.
Okay. Well, hopefully that gets figured out because, as you said, he's a very exciting player,
Yeah,
dynamic when he's at his best. So the next one is about breakout players thus far through the season. So who has been your biggest surprise, um, with young players or older players this year so far?
I got two. They're both on the Phillies, but Ranger Suarez and Alec Boehm. I mean, I know Schneebel can like get on board with me, but let me just read you a couple stats real quick. For leaders in the NL, Alec Boehm is fourth in offensive WAR, and the rest of it he's second.
yeah,
Second in OBP, second in OPS plus, second in RBIs, and second in doubles.
nasty.
Like that's insane. Ranger Suarez has a 1.32 ERA in 41 innings, with 5 walks and 40 Ks and 21 hits. He's first in ERA in the NL and first in WHIP, and he also has a complete game shutout.
Yeah, two great candidates. I was listening to the radio on the way home from work today. And Fransky and LA were talking about
94.
94 exactly. We're talking about Alec Boehm's swing, and actually it wasn't LA. It was Kevin Stocker, excuse me. But they were talking about Alec Boehm's swing, and Stocker, who played for the Phillies in the 90s. He was looking at swings like from when he started back in 2019, 2020. He's basically taken a shorter approach. He's this season especially. He's taken a shorter. He usually does like a high or decently high leg kick, and you've seen in the past where he gets his doors blown off by fastballs up and in. And this year he's getting that bat around. He's hitting balls not only to the opposite field, because obviously like his whole career basically he's been an opposite field Burchett. He loves to get that his bat ahead on the other side of the plate. And now he's starting to pull the ball. You can see him getting around on the inside fastballs, and that's been his main weakness this last 3 or 4 years. And he is really turning it around. But two great names, Tom. Obviously, Ranger Suarez. He's a Cy Young candidate right now. I know it's only been 41 innings. He's got a long ways to go, but early on he has been unhittable. I got a couple names. Gunnar Henderson's one of them. I mean, he's you can talk about him all day, but there's a couple other guys I have. CJ Abrams, who's right now he's leading the Nats, right, in average slugging, OPS, hits, home runs, and RBIs. Nasty player. I loved him the last couple of years. He always was a good fielder, but now you see him really coming into his own at the bat and at the plate, and he's just knocking the ball out of the park. He's also got 7 home runs. Leading, just incredible player. One of my favorite players to watch when I get the chance. Another guy I have down here is Jordan Hicks, who, as you know, came in the league as like the guy throwing 104 miles an hour out of the bullpen for the Cardinals. Now as a starter, and he's been lighting it up as a ERA under 1.6. He's got a .91 whip, so he's throwing a lot of strikes, getting a lot of outs. He's 2-0, 34 innings pitched. Ho hum. Another Cy Young candidate early on in the season. But who would have thought he would come out here and be that good? He's been incredible. And then another guy.
Get him off the Cardinals.
Yeah, exactly. Get him out of there.
Get him out of St. Louis.
Put him in starting rotation. It's insane. Another guy, Shota Imanaga. I'll keep it quick. He's my favorite pitcher to watch right now. I love Shota. I love like these Japanese players coming in out of the MPB and just lighting it up. And Shota Imanaga has a sub-1 ERA right now, and he's 4-0. They're undefeated when he starts. He is disgusting. He's been really, really good. 3 earned runs right now. 3 earned runs in 6 starts? Just ridiculous.
Yeah, that is pretty absurd. So Schnabel, you honestly took both my guys.
Oh no.
Hicks and Abrams. So
no.
I have to think real quick, honestly.
I
think I'm going to go with another giant. And that's Patrick Bailey.
Good call.
Oh, sneaky,
Patrick Bailey.
What is up with Giants and catchers, dude?
The dude is an elite defensive catcher. But now the bat's coming around. I mean, let me read off his stats real quick, but I'm pretty sure Patrick Bailey is hitting over 300 right now.
Mm-hmm.
10 bombs.
Yeah, 280.
Oh, no, sorry, 3.
3 homers. But, I mean, from the catcher's position, and considering his production last year, which, wasn't great by any means, 644 OPS, 78 OPS plus. Right now, it's at a 134 OPS plus. That's a big leap. And if the defense stays the same, then, I mean, this guy's going to be an all-star for years to come. Then the other guy that I had on my mind for a while, he has had a rough last start against the Cardinals, but Jose Butto for the Mets. I know you were giving me a little crap for thinking about him in the top 5 for the Mets rotation, Schnabel, last week, but the guy has a sub-3 ERA, 2.86. He just went 6 against the Cubs with 1 earned run. And since last September, he has the lowest batting average against in the National League, which is that to me says that it could be sustainable. So
it's had a visceral reaction because I had no idea. I had no idea he was pitching that well. And I only gave you, I guess I gave you a little bit of shtick for that because I honestly I should have looked harder. I mean, you gave me that, and he was pretty solid last year with a sub-4 ERA in 42 innings. But I mean, he's been great this year. You got to give him credit. I I hope he continues. I mean, even though I'm a Philly fan, I love this. I don't like seeing players struggle. You always want to see everyone at their best all the time, and he's pitching well. You got to give him credit.
Throw another one out there. Reynaldo Lopez also has
Yeah.
been very, very good so far. So there's some guys coming out that were pretty unexpected.
Happy about it.
Yeah.
I'll give Mets players some credit, but Braves players, we'll see. We'll see.
Also, shout out to just another breakout player, Joe Lofafito, getting his first
Oh,
start Major League Baseball.
Tom's
And tonight
guy.
he just, yeah, huge guy, huge Joe Lofafito guy. Shout out.
Where is he
Tom's got
starting
double.
tonight? What position?
Left field.
Left field. Okay.
He took Jose Abreu's spot.
Yeah, I mean, props to Jose Abreu though for like saying yes to being sent down.
Yeah.
I know, but it's like it's
To do
Jose.
that.
It takes a man to do that, yeah. Because
Yeah.
like I mean, he's a high paid player. He's been an all-star a bunch of times. Like, he's got to kind of really swallow his pride there. And yeah, I
A
mean,
great dude for that.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so next topic, and this is something near and dear to my heart. Pete Alonso is going to be a free agent after the season. I don't know if he's going to end up a Met, but what do you guys expect from his free agency? Where do you think he's going to end up? He is a Boris guy,
Oh, like you mean numbers wise?
numbers wise. Yeah,
Oh boy.
Oh,
I mean, he's only 29. His birthday is on the 12th of December, so he'll be 30 by the time he'll hit, I mean, free agency most likely. I mean, I mean, he's not having a bad year. He's got 8 home runs, 15 RBIs. He's hitting over 230, which is for first baseman, like power hitting first baseman, that's serviceable now. Obviously last year was kind of a down year for his average, but he 46 home runs, 117 RBIs. He's going to be, barring some, major injury or, big fall off, he'll be a very sought after bat in free agency. Especially, he can play first base, okay at times. He's serviceable, but he can play DH and he can hit for pop and he can get on base and it'll be a big number, whatever it is. I don't doubt it. It depends on the years. Obviously, you got, Boris guys want longer years and bigger contracts. They want the big number, or Boris wants it. I don't know if the guys want it, but you did see last season or a couple months ago, Snell and Montgomery both ended up just waiting it out, and eventually they just, they had to wait too long and took shorter contracts with certain opt outs, and that's not exactly what they wanted or Boris wanted. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens with Alonso. Even though he is more premium, he plays every day. So I would expect something probably long term with a big number. Not exactly sure on the number. But yeah, that's kind of what I would be looking at.
quick note on the number. The two guys that I look at for a Pete Alonso contract is Freddie Freeman and Matt Olson. Both of them
mhm.
got under 170, above 160,
Yeah.
respectively. Olson's deal was for 8 years. Freeman's was for 6.
Yeah.
So those guys are both better than Pete.
Yep.
I don't know where that leaves him.
I mean, he's making 20 and a half right now, per season. I don't think he'll get that. But I mean,
You think he
probably
signs a
not.
shorter contract?
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance, but I mean he's only 30, he's going to be 30, so I mean he's still in his prime.
What about like a 2-year, 44 million?
I don't
Too
see
much?
that happening.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it depends on the market. Like if there's a team that feels like they're on the cusp, I mean, I look at like the Mariners, like they can use some pop. I feel like they're always right there. I know
The Giants.
they made the playoffs a couple years ago. Giants are another team that like to spend money. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if he went for a couple years. I would probably think he goes for more than 2 years. But I mean, 2 years, 44 wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. For me right now, I'll only give him 15 a year. That's just me because, I mean, I value guys that get on base. Like, that's just not a guy that I would want to pay an exorbitant amount of money who strikes out a lot and doesn't, his average or his OBP hasn't been over 350 in a couple years. So, I mean, just for me, but there's certain owners that would really, would venture into the 20 million plus per year. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, it's such an interesting conversation because
Yeah. I mean, you get to watch them every day. So, I mean, I'm sure like you probably have some, thoughts like this guy, he's been there and he's been very consistent throughout his career. Like he hasn't had a quote unquote down year. Maybe his average will dip a little bit, but for him at first baseman, he needs to hit with pop. He needs to get RBIs, and he's always done that.
I I would take Pete for, you know, 6 years, 168, or 6 years, 140, something like that. If he is expecting something in the $200 million range, I'll let him walk, or
Yeah.
I'll trade him midseason because I don't think that's feasible, to be honest. He just doesn't. I don't think he provides enough value to warrant that type of contract.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah,
Probably
I
not.
think he's going to sign a short contract, though. I think he's going to sign it too because he's been so consistent. Like, I think he's going to bet on himself, sign 2 years, 20 million somewhere because somebody will pay that for him right now. Maybe he'll get
Yeah, 40.
22,
Yeah, per year. Yeah.
but
I
he
can't see
goes
that.
somewhere, just does consistently, and maybe like he actually tries to win something, and then he goes on and signs a bigger contract for longer.
I can't see that happening because he's in the prime of his career now. He needs that long-term contract. He's been a very consistent hitter. If he doesn't get anything over 5 years, I would be shocked. I mean,
Yeah.
anything under five
But I
years.
mean, for Pete, I mean,
He's a
he'll probably
Boris
be able
guy,
to set
though.
his price to a certain because like obviously his price is also going to come down to the rest of the market. If there's another big power hitter that comes out, I'm not exactly sure the free agent market at the
Soto
time.
and Bregman are the headliners.
Yeah, and I mean Bregman's he's a little older than Pete, and he's had a down year so far. I mean, obviously we're in May, but yeah, it's going to come down to the rest of the market as well. I mean, Pete's obviously he's going to want a longer deal because he needs that guarantee from a team that he's going to have some money, especially now he's going to be over 30. And I think he'll warrant it, and I think he'll get it. It just teams are willing to spend more and more money for premium hitters now, and especially a team on the cusp. Like I said, like team like the Mariners. I mean, they don't really spend a whole lot of money, but they have some really good young pitchers right now. They need to buy in quick because you never know when those pitchers can get hurt. Pitchers can drop off in form. You got to go after it when you got a chance. I think the Mariners are a good spot for him, and I think, like the Tom said, the Giants are also another good spot out west. So, I think you're right. I think he'll probably get 5, 6 years. But again, like we've seen big names this past season with Boris guys getting shorter deals. Granted, they were both pitchers, but teams just waited them out, and eventually you got to get money from somebody. So they eventually were like, "I'm going to take whatever I can get," and you saw what
Yeah.
happened there.
It's interesting too with the Boris conversation. It's also the fact that you know, like Soto, he's the market's gonna hold up because Soto has to sign first. So if
Yeah.
if that drags for, I don't know, a month or two, like it's gonna hold up the whole market behind him, especially because Alonso is probably gonna sign after Soto and
Oh
Bregman
yeah.
after Alonso. Like that's
Yeah.
how I see it playing out.
I think you're right about that. And Soto's gonna, if he continues this, like his form right now throughout the season, which obviously he's not gonna hit as well as he is right now for the whole 162, but he's gonna have great numbers regardless. He's just that good of a hitter. And the Yankees, if he does that, the Yankees are gonna throw a bunch of money at him. I think they're gonna
Exactly.
try to get that wrapped up quick. They're not gonna want that to stall out because there's other teams that are gonna throw a bunch of money at him too.
I mean
Um,
that's what I think. I think Steve Cohen is gonna throw an absolute boatload of cash
oh my God,
at
yeah.
Oh yeah, he's gonna back up the Brinks trucks, baby.
quite literally, bro.
Bag it
Quite
up.
literally.
Yeah.
Beep. Back it up, Terry.
Last topic of the night with our 5 minutes left is that after the Mets Cubs game last night, Bill Murray was seen on the subway, or maybe it was a train. Not
One
sure
of the
which
two,
one.
yeah.
Similar, whatever. But so my question to you guys is: have you ever seen a celebrity or athlete just out in the wild and like you were just like, wait, I know who that is?
Yeah. Um,
Harper at the
I
gas station.
wait, who is it?
Harper at the gas station.
Are
No.
you
Oh,
serious?
yeah, yeah.
He
That's
lives in the
sick.
town over from me.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say what town, but it's just because
yeah,
for his sake. But like,
yeah.
we literally drive by his house all the time. It's sick,
That's
No
awesome.
way.
I would have been
dude.
like,
I
oh
swear to
man,
God.
You saw him at
that's
the
sick.
gas station?
Yeah, he stops at at a Wawa. I'm not gonna say which one, but he
Say the
stops at a
exact corner.
Wawa on the
Say
way
the
home
corner
from
right now.
literally he comes off 295 coming from the bridge,
Yeah.
and it's one of the Wawas off there.
Yeah,
So
I've seen a
Wait,
bunch of
so
pictures too, like on the Philly Barstool Philly Instagram with people like taking videos of him on like on the street and stuff.
mm.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. What
I would
about
say
you?
for me, I mean, disclaimer, like my second cousin is Jamie Moore, like my dad's cousin is Jamie Moore, so I met him a bunch of times. I gotta throw that out there. I met him a bunch of times. Cool dude. Cool dude.
That's
Gave me a couple
awesome,
tips.
bro.
Gave me a
What the
couple
fuck?
tips growing up on the changeup. I didn't help me a whole lot by my success with college baseball, but he did give me a couple of tips growing up. The biggest one, other than that, I would say is I was at the Little League World Series either 2010 or 2011 in Williamsport, and we just watched one of the games and we were walking out, and we were like on the main concourse where like all the little stands are. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Lamedy, but there's like as you walk out of the stadium, there's a bunch of little stores and stands, and like people are walking out. And we were like walking right out of the stadium. My dad all of a sudden like nudges one of us and like, look over there, look who it is. And we all like at the same time look over it, and it's freaking Raleigh Fingers with he's got the handlebar mustache, and like my dad grew up a big A's fan in the 70s when they were like, the swinging A's, the one of the greater teams of all time with the
Mhm.
three-peat, and he just was started screaming, Raleigh, Raleigh, like he was like probably 10 feet away from us, and he was screaming at the top of his lungs. Raleigh like turned around. He wasn't even with like any security detail. He's with like, I don't know, probably like a friend or family members, whatever. And he just turns around. He had like a flat cap on. Like, he looked so awesome. He got the handlebar mustache, freshly trimmed. Turned right around, looked at all of us. I just like gave us a head nod, turned right back, and went up the steps. It was pretty cool. But I mean, he's not a huge like. That's probably like the bigger ones that I remember.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah,
I love
but
the random sightings. Like, um, I have a couple. So for some reason, I can't remember if I ever met like a more significant celebrity than baseball players, but I guess that seems to just be it. Um, but I know when I was a little kid, I went to a Cyclones game, and Gary Carter was there.
no way.
Just cause he just
Yeah,
liked watching ball. And apparently I talked to him about like Doc Gooden in the parking lot for like 30, 40
no
minutes.
way.
I was like 5 years old, and he's like, "You know who Doc Gooden is?"
Of course, of
Dude,
course.
that's
He
Mets
was
royalty.
he was
Gary Carr
shook.
and Doc Gooden, dude.
Yeah. And then
Battery mates.
exactly another one is
You probably have some
I
stories
was at
about Doc
Dick's
Gooden.
Sporting Goods on Long Island,
Yeah.
and I see this dude walk in wearing flops. I'm like looking at him like, "Yo, that's Lucas
This
Duda."
kid.
No way,
Why are
dude.
you, he's literally walking to the bat section in flip flops.
What?
Like,
Why did
why
you
are
buy
you
this
at Dick's
hat from
Sporting Goods
there?
looking at bats?
Dude, what?
So random.
What
And then
was it?
the last, huh?
He's probably buying a burner bat just to like dick around with or something.
So weird. And then the last one, but I had to look it up too because I was like, there's no way that was him, right? So, but there was a Steiner Sports memorabilia there, and it was like, oh yeah, he's gonna be signing later. So it definitely was him.
Yeah, that's pretty
And
cool.
then
That's
the
fucking
last
cool.
one, I was in the Bahamas, and I saw Brian
That's
Dozier working out in the gym. I was like,
that's sick.
this is Brian Dozier. I gotta say hi.
Did you?
Super random. Yeah, super random. Got a picture with him. It was funny. But
Dude, I feel like that's
That's
so inconspicuous. Like Brian Dozier, like I feel like he's like not a guy you would be able to like pick out of a crowd. But
well, it's
like
so
yeah,
random too
once
that
you
you
it
know
saw
his
was
him
so
at
face,
that
it's
random.
like,
one gym.
yeah, that's happened
Yeah,
to me a bunch of times. I feel like, well, I'll see a guy, like I'm like, he looks just like blah blah blah, right? Like a big leaguer, and I'm like, I don't want to go up to him because like I'm like, what if I'm wrong? And the guy's like, who's that? Like I'm like, oh, I feel like
He probably gets that all the time
oh
though.
yeah,
yeah, yeah. But yeah,
I saw Bobby Clark.
oh
huh?
Bobby Clark,
I saw Bobby Clark.
legend,
Mm.
NH Flyers legend.
Yes.
But that wraps up the episode for tonight. Good work, guys. I'll wrap this up, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.